Hey out there, beautiful people, and welcome to another Hollywood Hills show. Now, last week was the first of a three-parter coming out of GXCC Verena coverage. It was the opener, that was the quads and the juniors, where we pretty much only wrapped up the Q2 championship, where CD Goosen goes two-time champ, but the rest of the categories and the championships are still up for grabs. This week now, we roll forward into the Pro Motorcycle category, where we saw one or two fairly predictable results, but one or two huge crashes as well, where we're going to see the rest of those categories go down to the wire. It's getting tense, people, and I love it like this. This is Pro Motorbikes, all the classes from the penultimate round of the GXCCs out at Varina. This GXCC racing action powered by Dunlop is brought to you by SPX Logistics, Dunlop, RME Bearings and Transmission, and driven by Bikers Warehouse. Verena, a brand new venue on the tour, and what would mark the penultimate round of the GXCC Championship Series. Before we came into this event, everyone was starting to get super twitchy and super nervous. 2 rounds to go, championship still to be decided. We went down to the line and caught up with a couple of the key players to talk about the event and the series.
A lot of the stress is off now that the nationals are over, but I mean we're still challenging for a championship here at the GXCCs. So yeah, I'm here to have some fun, and it's extra training. You know, we're riding all the way into December. I think there's a GXCC in December as well, which is great. Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, no, we're just going to go out there and have some fun. You know, it's the penultimate round. We've got one more to go. Main goal is to keep safe. I think conditions are going to be awesome. There's a bit of rain, and dust doesn't seem too bad, and at least the wind's blowing a bit, so that's going to help with the dust. But yeah, happy to be out representing the team, Peps and Plastics, Moto Kawasaki, and looking forward to the day. And I think Kawasaki is representing out here. We've got many bikes on the start line, so I think it's going to be a good day.
To be honest, I actually don't know. so we'll see how it goes. I'm expecting Dart to be fast. He's also chasing a championship, so either way, I'm sure it'll be good for the green team.
Yeah, it's definitely suited for the 350. It's more tight. It's going to be cool. Just flow and hit my marks. I think it will be a good day.
I'm feeling very excited. New venue and new terrain. We're going to see how it goes. The dust looks like it's clearing pretty well, so hopefully it's going to be a good race.
Yeah, I missed out on the national by 2 points, but I'm still happy with my second place. I'm going to try and wrap the GXCC championship up now. Maybe race the last round on a last race on the 250.
Still leading it, but I think I still have to take it to the last round. So first or second, I'll be still safe, but hopefully I can get a first and then take it from there.
Wow, yeah, I don't want to count my chickens before they hatch. So I think it's in racing you can never be too sure. But if all goes well, and hopefully it does, so then we'll see what happens. But the route's going to be awesome. I think there's a lot of the type of riding I do back home anyway. It's never flat out stuff, it's more rocky and feet in the pegs, so I'm looking forward to it.
For the afternoon event to kick things off for the Pro Motorcycle Show, we start things out with the OR1 Pro races. A small lineup this time around, but a very condensed championship as well. Mikey Pentecost firing out at the gate, Tyron Beverly in very good shape. Same situation for JC Nienhaber, so all the big dogs were firing hard as they went out into what would be a testing, technical layout of a track. The morning moisture was gone, the dust was starting to kick up once again. Pentecost leading from the front. This is how he likes to play the game. For the OR2 gates, everyone was watching to see what was going to happen with the devastator Devin Smith, who pulled the pin and got a massive hole shot. The rest of the key players chasing him down, Brendan Kotzer and Dion van der Merwe getting his best ever gate of the season. The big story though was on the third turn, championship points leader Ian Rawle going down hard. He would have to chase from the back of the pack. That was going to be a decider and a massive factor in the championship. OR3s, and everyone was watching the dice that was going to go down to the wire between Dav Cocker and Matty Wilson. On paper, it was still not decided. Key riders once again, Matty Wilson charging out, getting his nose out front, but sweeping around the outside was Carl McKenzie. We also had Taki Bodjodges in the mix there, as well as Davin Cocker. Cocker didn't take long to get himself right up there into the mix, a little bit wild through the whole shot queue. Karam also going down. Our two-time champion was not going to make it a three-peat. A couple of riders getting a little bit confused towards the end of the queue, and that's all. Wilson with clear air. Then it's the high school 125s. Very small gate this time around, but it was John Buerta who charged his way out front with the Bikers Warehouse boys, Josh Alexander and Matt Battersby, in close attention. A no-show for Derek Karam this time around. He had been injured just one day before the event, so the championship essentially was over. John Buerta was edging ever closer to a big number one plate before he moved up next year into the OR3s. Senior gate. Could anyone beat the unstoppable Wade Blau? Well, off the gate, there was certainly a new guy, and that was Yanni Potgieter, the man that came into this round trying to defend his number 2 spot in the championship, riding out of the VW Hatfield Mastercars crew. Blau was going to be right there in the mix with him. A small mistake and a stall for Potgieter put him out of the top 7, and he would have to chase through the dust. That was going to be a very tough rest of the race, and for the championship as well. It was a decider. Thompson was actually the man that saw clear air early on. On the Masters gate, lots of chopping and changing. We saw Mealy's getting onto a Kawasaki for the first time. It was the returning Viking, Kobus Jonk, but the main man up front was all about Warwick van Skalkwyk. A very rare hole shot. Saw the Roos KTM rider leading out ahead of Francois Swanepoel, and there was a no-show for Wayne Farmer, still carrying massive injuries coming out of his crash just a few weeks earlier at the KZN National. For the veterans class, we had a very strong gate this time around. We have had low numbers. This was an absolute stellar turnout. Ernst Slabbert has put his name at the top of the pile. He is still trying to chase down on that golden championship, going undefeated throughout the season. But this time he had motocross legend Jeff Den on the Suzuki doing the chase down. He was certainly going to feel the pressure in the early stages of the event. But on the championship, it's all about Slabbert for Ruban Racing. On the ladies' gate, Leah Haygate dropped the hammer once again and saw clear air. She was going to absolutely love the terrain out here. Chopped up, whooped up, and very, very testing. Carla Nibua has been her closest rival. Zelda Mayberg, who has been inside the top 3, went down in a ball of flames. And then our last gate that went out was our pink ladies that went out for a 2-hour racing format on the junior loop. And they certainly enjoyed their first time out GXCC racing with us. Before we go into the review of the pro motorcycle categories, let's chat to Vian du Plessis, our course director, who was super pumped about Verena and this brand new epic venue.
I think the bikes are going to love it. You know, in the morning for the quads, the route's obviously fresh. It's going to be bumpy a little bit, but they're going to open it up nicely, and the two-wheelers are going to have a much smoother line to follow for the afternoon race. You know, for them, it's a stunning loop where they come back from the mountainside, coming down to the river, all along the river. It's such a scenic route. I haven't seen a more beautiful place to ride in than this for a cross-country race.
And from one du Plessis to another. In fact, the daughter of Vian, Nicole du Plessis, our little pocket rocket, who so often pulls a great hole shot, or very nearly. She gets another top 6 finish. That'll see her finish up this championship with another strong finish at the final round. Should see a top 6 coming in. Karika Pieterse, who has been in and out of the championship for the last couple of seasons, showed a little bit rust, but she knocked that off and was able to come home and score a rock-solid number 5 on the day. She came back and said, this is classic GXCC racing. Not just flat out or wide open, but a good mix of absolutely everything. For the Ruban Racing squad, Remarie Ellis is starting to really become a player. Watch out for her next season to start stepping up into a consistent top 3 ride. This time around, at the penultimate round, it was a number 4. Just up the road from her was her teammate as well, Carla Nibua, the lady who is trying to defend her number 2 spot in the championship. Got a rock-solid ride, and it was a number 3 finish. Suffering with arm pump and a little bit of pain in her hands, dropped her down to a third place. Our crasher off the whole shot queue, Zelda Mayberg, obviously got the hurry up, got a little bit angry, beat herself up, and climbed the ladder throughout the rest of the racing day. Mayberg, a real star of the GXCC Tour, and one of the ladies that will challenge for a championship in the 2022 season. Second place for her, and of course, it is the Golden Championship still on the cards for Leah Haygate. Only 2 riders are in the queue to go completely undefeated across a 7-round championship. This is round 6. Haygate once again hammering the nail and giving a ladies masterclass in how to go cross-country racing out at the GXCCs. Confirmation of Haygate once again on top. Mayberg gets one of her highest ever GXCC finishes, beating out on Nibua, Ellis, Petersen and Duplessis. Into the veterans class, where once again we saw great numbers coming down the pipe. A classic family racing name at the GXCCs, Frank de Greef getting it done this time around. Francois would be racing in the Pro OR2s. Dad was rocking it out there on a number 6 finish in the vets. His first time racing with us on the GXCC Tour as well. Steph Bagnall, Mr. Stars and Stripes, was once again inside of a top 5. That's going to see him dominate his way up inside of a top 5 for the championship as well. Remember, this is the penultimate round. Everyone was starting to get the calculators out and figure out what they had to do. Swapping machinery throughout the season, sometimes on an old Beta, sometimes on the IT. The IT got the nod this time around. Bertus Becker inside of a top 4 finish. He loved the terrain out at Verena. As always, Becker on the oldest bike in the pits. Willem Swickers has been chopping and changing machinery for the last couple of seasons. Historically, he has always been a Yamaha man, and then we saw him on a KTM for most of the 2021 championship. He's back on Old Blue once again, and it was a 3rd place finish that sees Swickers climb the ladder once more. A good run of pace in the early laps. Remember, this is historically a top championship winning motocross racer. Jeff Den on the 511 was hassling Ernst Slabbert in the early laps, but eventually Slabbert got the upper hand. Jeff Den, though, at his first time racing GXCCs with us, gets a creditable number 2 finish. But it's Slabbert that has gone green, green, green. The other rider on the GXCC Tours, along with Haygate, who was staring down the barrel of the Golden Championship, undefeated at the first time of asking for us rolling out this new veterans class. For Rubine Racing, Ernst Slabbert remains the man to beat. We caught up with Ernst after the race, and he clearly had given it everything he had.
Yeah, it's a good track, sandy, rivers flowing, so I really enjoyed it. I had to push today because I think it's Adam Dunn from Botswana. Got the whole shot, he got past me, got past him, he got past. So he was leading for 2 laps. And then, still saw him the 3rd lap, and then I started to lose him. So very happy with that. I know he's apparently a good older guy also rides now. So yeah, it was a lucky race. I enjoyed it very much. Thank you to GXCC, to Vian. Really enjoyed it.
One to go for the man that would be king. Slabbert on top out at Verena, ahead of Den, Swickers, Becker, Bagnall, de Greef, and championship contender Johan Bosch, one of his lowest finishes on the season, in 7th. Next up, and banging straight into the GXCC Masters Gate, where the championship will be turned on its head coming out of the results from Verena. Fricky Ellis was up there once again, getting his older model of Kawasaki rolling inside of the points finish. Just up the road from him was former championship points leader Francois Swanepoel. He came off a bad crash and a mechanical at the previous round, and he didn't fare much better out here at Verena. 5th place is going to see him losing his chance to defend that number 2 spot in the championship racing series. Francois is a fighter though, and he still will take it down to the wire and do what he can. Martin Poole has been coming on strong in the second half of the championship as well, trying to be the top Yamaha man. He achieved his goal once again to get himself up there inside of a number 4. Pooley is starting to look very racy once again at the tail end of 2021. Carl Mealy's LaRue, as he is affectionately known, normally on a KTM. This time around, getting thrown onto a Kawasaki. Looks like he really enjoyed it as well as he gets himself up into a number 3 spot. Watch out for Mealy's to move up in the championship as well. He has got a win under his belt, and now 3rd place will see him move solidly into a top 3 for the championship. The Viking, who stalled out off the line, but it's Kobus Jonk who fought through the traffic, loved the terrain, elbows up, smashed his way all the way almost to the front, and gets a number 2 finish coming out of Verena. Welcome back to the Viking as he marauds his way onto a podium finish. The big hole shot and 100% fighting fit once again. Came into this championship race series with a massive injury on the foot, has been on the back foot since then, but now he charged, got the hole shot, ran the numbers, was the fastest guy. No one came anywhere near him out of Verena. Warwick van Skalkwyk getting the win once again.
The track was wicked. The first lap, it was a rut. There was a lot of rocks, hidden away rocks. I fell twice in the first lap, but I started getting choppy in the second and the third lap. It was just, it was one of the most tiring races I've had, hands down. I'd like to say thank you to these guys here behind me, Roos KTM. They gave me the bike and the tires, and they gave me the equipment to be able to do it. So the win goes to Ron Bailey. He's watching us from upstairs. Ron, this one was for you, my friend. Yeah, it was a great race.
Van Skalkwyk's win at Verena will see him jump up into championship contention once again. He brings with him the Viking, Jonk, Leroux, Poole, Swanepoel, Ellis and Frederick. In the Masters though, the big story is a no-show and injury for Wayne Farmer. Into the seniors then, where we saw the Bikers Warehouse squad get onto the box for the first time ever. Glenn Ramsden getting his highest ever GXCC finish inside of a number 6, and then just up the road from him, what a story, where we saw Peter Van Rooyen getting it done inside of a number 5. These guys have been working super hard, coming out under the guidance of Wayne Farmer, and the work is definitely now starting to pay off. A 6 and a 5 for the squad. Van Rooyen taking a massive number 5. That'll see him jump up now inside of a top 6 for the championship standings. After the big hole shot, getting out and seeing a little bit of clear air, some problems later on in the race for Lee Thompson saw him slide back down inside of a number 4. But if it all goes right for Thompson, he can potentially be a race winner and could be one of the big threats to try and topple the champ in 2022. Thompson will be pretty happy with a number 4 finish out here at Varina though. Yanni Potgieter, who looked like he had it in the bag until a stall at turn number 2 put him out the back door. He charged, fought, and really grit his teeth the whole way through the day to get himself back up into a 3rd place. It's an important race finish for the VW Mastercars Hatfield rider, and he once again will see 3rd place and potentially be able to hold on to that 2nd place in the series. Marco Cocci, the top Yamaha man on the senior gate, has been coming on in leaps and bounds in the second half of the season. He dominated this track. He was by far the best of the rest. 2nd place for Marco will keep him super happy and will potentially also see him challenge his way up inside of a top 5 come the end of the season. But up the road, it was no big surprise to see Wade Blau get himself up there. He clearly had to work for it though. The terrain was his biggest challenge on the day. Sure, he had competition sniffing at his back tire, but it was the track that gave him the biggest challenges of his racing season to date. Blau's times still put him inside of a top 10 for the overalls, and it was once again another win on the seniors. Blau, so close to wrapping up yet another championship.
Yeah, I must admit, the first couple of laps were great fun. Everyone was on the button, but the last 2 laps, every muscle in my body's hurting at the moment. But yeah, it was. I suppose we're all in the same track, and it was good. Thanks to the organisers. Well, it's been a great year, and I'm very grateful for the way things have gone. And let's see what happens for the next race. I'm looking forward to it.
It's tightening up at the top. Blau is there. Cocci is coming on strong in the second half of the tour, though. Potgieter trying to defend his 2nd place in the series. He beat out Thompson, Van Rooyen and Ramsden, who saw podiums. Coetzee Goos, Clarkie and Richter round us out to the top 10. Into the high schools, where we saw a lot of new names coming up in the charge as well. 6th place this time around, and a new kid onto the podium. Dion Van Start gets it done inside of a top 6. We're going to see if this kid is going to stay with a 125 for next year, or whether he is going to be one of the many high schoolers that'll make the big jump up into the OR3s. Christian Swart, the top Honda man, a extremely old steel frame Honda CR125 smoker, but it doesn't matter. She's still running, she's still rolling, and Swartz gets himself a top 5 this time around. We've seen a couple of top 6s out of this kid. He is definitely a talent, but that bike is hard work out there for sure. Matt Battersby has been a charger and a pinner. A ton of top 5 finishes throughout the series. We'll no doubt see him finish inside of a points and a podium finish come the end of the 2021 championship. Battersby, this time around, rocked it up to a number 4 finish. His Bikers Warehouse teammate, one of the rocket ships that's so good at getting that hookup coming off the line, Josh Alexander. He was running inside of the top 3 the whole way through the day. He remained inside the top 3 come the end of play out at Verena. Another 3 will give him possibly a chance to challenge for a top 3 in the series as well. For Josh, his first full season on a 125 has been a goodie. Second place is going to be going to none other than Jason Leslie. Leslie has been a bit of a find of the season in the 125s. For many years, racing in the club and regional championships, and now that he's made the big move up, got onto some respectable machinery, he is charging. Watch out for him to stay in 125s for next season as well, and try and chase down the championship. The second half of the season has seen Jason Leslie really come to life. But it's John Buerter who is the man of the moment. The second half of the season for the Nationals, the Regionals and the clubs has been all about John Boy. Riding out of the Franchise Co. CIT squad, he has become literally unbeatable on the 125 gate at any event that he turns up to. His goal for the season was clear, to wrap up the big number 1 plate before jumping up onto the 250s. This win may have done just enough to get the big number 1.
It was an awesome track, a bit of everything, rocks, sand, all of the above. It was really fun. It's really close. We'll check it out, maybe ride the next race on the 250. Thanks to the Franchise Co. CRT squad, thanks to Uncle Harry Grobler for all he's done for me this year. It wouldn't have been possible without him.
Johnny the man once again coming out of Verena ahead of Leslie, Alexander, Battersby, Swartz and Von Stade. The big story though, Derek Carriman no-show, out with injury. That could well be the title decided for Buerter. Into the OR3s where we saw stacked gates once again, but we also saw a lot of key riders outside of that magical top 6. Peter Esterhazen then squeaked his way up inside of a top 6. One of the finds of the championship as well, coming out of club and regional racing. And I think if Esterhazen focus his game on GXCCs, we'll see him as a top 5 player the whole way through the crew. Xander Marks was just up the road from him, getting another top 5. We've mentioned his name once or twice throughout the championship. He has to have a little bit of luck on his side, and he has to like the track. Verena definitely played into his wheelhouse on the 98. Up the road from him and making the trip once again from Botswana. And a nod to all the Botswanans that made it across the border once again to come GXCC racing with us. Cosmos Mama Lucas is one of the superstars coming out on his first season on the 254 strokes, and a 4th place finish shows that he is a classy rider. Hopefully he makes the full tour next season. A top 3 finish late on in the game as well. This guy has been coming back from a ton of injuries pretty much the whole way through the season. The 1-2-2 of Vian Wenzel got the hookup, found a track, and also got his training game on point. Vian Wenzel for the Franchise Co. CIT squad will be happy to come into the last couple of rounds and find his form back where it needs to be. 3rd place, he'll be happy with that. After going down in a blaze of glory off the whole shot, our reigning 2-time champ, Peter Karam, had to pick himself up, plow the entire field, and get himself up to an eventual second place. It's not going to be a triple champ chase this time around, but Peter Karam, in one of the most challenging seasons of his career to date, has picked himself up and fought his way back into some kind of contention. But it is tough at the moment in the OR3s to fight against the thunder that is Dav Cocker. The factory rockstar Husqvarna rider just wrapping up his first ever national title in the SA Cross Country Championship Racing Series, and as always, was the man to beat. It looked like Mackenzie was going to be in the mix, but unfortunately problems for himself, Wilson and Bodgiodges dropped them out of the chase, leaving it for clear air. Pretty much a glory run for Cocker to just bring it on home and smash it in for another win.
The track was nice, I really enjoyed it. Obviously it was a bit dusty, but getting past that, I really enjoyed it. Sandy and hard pack, a mix of everything. I enjoyed it a lot. I'm going to try my best at the next one, we'll see how it goes. Because if I don't finish, then obviously it's not going to be my championship. So we'll just do our best and see how we get, where we go.
Cocker on top had the perfect day. But unfortunately his championship rival and his good buddy Matty Wilson, after getting the big hole shot, finishing outside the top 6, that's going to be the championship over. Cocker then confirmed on top ahead of Karam, Wenzel, Mama Lucas, Marks and Esterhazen, with key riders Mackenzie, Wilson and Bodgiodges outside the top 6, just one position ahead of Detroit. Cocker though should have done enough. In the OR2s, the big story has been a lot of the OR2 Pro-Am racers making the move up into the Pro category. Brendan Berger is one such rider, and I believe he is doing just enough to stay inside of that coveted top 6 for the Championship Racing Series. 6th place here today, beating out on his good buddy, Brendan Kotzer. Justin Manuel got the good gate, stayed out of trouble, had a perfect pit strategy, and gets his highest finish to date as well on the GXCC Racing Tour. A number 5 and a new rider to watch out for at the end of this season and in 2022. Welcome to the points chase, Manuel. Same situation for Carl Dutoy, with a lot of the key riders having some major issues out there. We start to see a couple of new names coming into play. The C225 of Carl Dutoy is definitely going to be a marker to keep an eye on. You can spot those colors on his bike pretty easy. And his all-action, elbows up, shoulders forward riding style tells you he knows how to get the most out of that 350, dancing it around the terrain at Verena and scoring his highest ever finish to date. The championship chase and the guys that at this point came into this round dicing it out for 3rd place in the series. Francois de Greef and Jean Nibuer. These guys have been elbows up and bar banging, and this race was no different. Francois de Greef got it done, eventually getting his way up into a 3rd place, but he had to make some big passes to get himself up there into championship contention once again. The kid was charging, but there was one dude that charged a little bit harder than him in that chase. On the track, it's always cool to see your championship rival and go bars up, banging. Jean Nibuer squeaking it out on the 911 for the Rubine Racing Squad. His 2nd place here should see him potentially move up into the 3rd place for the Championship Challenge with 1 round still to go. It's going to be a nail-biter between de Greef and Nibuer to see who gets on to the podium. 2nd place also tags Nibuer's highest GXCC Pro Ride finish to date. Up the road from him was none other than the Devastator. Devin Smith on the Vans Racing Factory Husqvarna 350 in his first season on the 350 has been absolutely dominating that machine. Towards the second half of the season, he seems to be the only rider that can fight against the might that is the brawler Ian Rawle. Rawle had a nightmare of a day this time around, so there was no bar banging, elbows up race fight on the track. It was Devin Smith just putting on the show and taking another clean win.
Track was amazing. A lot of sections, like sand sections, river sections, rock sections. It was a lacquer track. Championship, I'm close to Ian Rawle, but I think he's still in 1st place. But we'll check the next final rounds. Yeah.
So a perfect day for the Devastator as he dominated out in Verena. That's going to see him as the championship points leader going into the final round. Totally different story for the Brawler. Massive crash and a low finish. He's going to have to give it everything at the last round. The Devastator then on top ahead of Niebuhr, De Greef, De Toy, Manuel and Berger with Kotze van der Merwe and Ian Rawls low finish down in 9th place. This will go down to the last round. Into the OR1 Big Bangers, where we also saw some new blood. Wade Den, as well as his dad, Jeff, making the trip across the border and coming GXCC racing with us. For Den, a multiple superstar on the motocross scene, and now a GXCC threat. 6th place at his first time of asking. I'm sure he'll take that with both hands. So Den inside of a number 6, he beat out on the day Brady Armstrong and Tyron Beverly. Up the road from him was the ever-consistent number 5 finish of John Carr De Lange. De Lange potentially going to be fighting for that number 5 spot. It's going to be between himself and the guy that he was fighting with on the track at Verena, Craig Alcock. Alcock and Verena were a match made in heaven. This guy has gelled perfectly with the squad, with the Pepsi Plastics factory Kawasaki underneath him, and he just loved the track. Craig Alcock with a 4th place scores his highest ever GXCC Pro OR1 finish and will most definitely be moving inside of a top 5 for the championship series. The guys up the road from him that were fighting for the big numbers, 3rd place, and the guy that won round number 1 of the championship way back in February. It's the return of JC Nienhaber. Solid, consistent, and the speed was most definitely there. 3rd place will also see JC potentially try and remain inside of that top 4 for the championship racing series. An up and down championship tour, but he seems to be ending on a high. And then a former multiple GXCC champ, D'Artagnan Lobjoy, is on a burner in 2021. Coming off incredibly consistent and fast finishes at the full national championship tour, as well as challenging for the championship in the GXCCs. It's an all-out green machine fight at the front for D'Artagnan Lobjoy, who rocked his way on the Pepsi machine to a 2nd place ride, and up the road from him was his good buddy, stablemate, and Kawasaki Green Machine partner, Mikey Pentecost. Pentecost coming off an incredible national championship tour as well, where he actually walked away with the big number 1 plate in the OR1s, his first ever big national overall title, and he seems to be simply unstoppable on the Green Machine, riding out of the Franchise Co and CIT squad. The fastest laps on the day, a runaway win. And with 1 round to go, it incredibly is still not yet decided. D'Artagnan Lobjoy could still beat him. So Mikey has to do what Mikey does. That is, rip the bars off and take the win at every single round.
It was tight and it got flipping rough. It started off rough because of the quads. Yeah, but it was all in all, it was really fun. Suited me, it was nice and tight, it was, yeah, good. I'm not too sure how that's looking, but we've got 1 race left and I'm here for the fun of it. Before I thank anyone, I'd just love to give the glory to God and my team, awesome team. As for the motorbike, this on a rough track like today, it just proved it was just smooth. A lot of time and effort goes into it that a lot of people don't see, and it pays off as everyone can tell. The bike is just so amazing, so easy to be fast, and I'm feeling good and fit. I've changed my training program this year, and it's helped a lot.
Yeah, no, I did. I think it was probably my most favorite track this year. They really did a good job. Obviously, Vian mentioned in Riders Briefing, if you go off the track, you're going to be in big trouble. And that was definitely the case. So, had a mediocre start. So I didn't want to take chances in the dust. So eventually when I got into 2nd, Mike had pulled a gap already. And it was difficult to gauge his speed then. But yeah, hats off to him. And yeah, I enjoyed the day. Big thank you to the team, Pepsi Plastics, Moto Kawasaki, for all their help today. And a big thank you to my fiance Mandy for all her help. It was a good day.
So Magic Mike on top once again, beating out on Lobjoy, but that championship is not to be decided until the final round in December. Nienaber and Alcock, with Alcock taking his highest ever finish, beating out DeLanger, Den, Armstrong and Beverly. The OR1 Pros goes to Carltonville. So that's our wrap of the pro categories with one round to go, the first racing weekend of December, where we bite our fingernails and head to Carltonville. In 2 weeks' time, we'll pick up on the remaining action from Verena. That's going to be our support class to draw a line under our coverage of the penultimate round. This GXCC racing action powered by Dunlop was brought to you by SPX Logistics, Dunlop, RME, Bearings and Transmission, and driven by the Bikers Warehouse. So let's count them down. This week was Pro Motorcycles, last week was the Quads and the Juniors, and next week, not the support class, because of course, me and the LiveX lads went across to Middelburg for the Farm Jam final round. Next week, it's their chance. They get their bite of the cherry. We're going to be reviewing their show before we go forward into the last of the GXCC's reviews. That will be support class. So stay tuned for next week. It is the final round of Farm Jam in 2021. Stay tuned for that. Straight after that, the following week, it's support class and, of course, our CW Cycle Work Suspension tip of the month from Justy Bauer. And after that, well, where else do we go? Racing once again with the final GXCC. Stay tuned.